The next item will be a presentation by Rooven Pakkiri. Rooven Pakkiri is from the KM Institute, which is based in Washington. He will make his presentation. He assured me that he's going to spend less than 10 minutes, but he is also happy to entertain questions. We can interrupt him at any stage and ask him a question. Am I right, Robin? 10 minutes. 10 minutes. 10 minutes, yes, 10 minutes. Okay. All right? Thank you very much. Yeah.
Right, thank you very much. I'm not sure how I do this in 10 minutes, but I'll do my best. Okay, I'm a social knowledge management consultant. I work with organizations like European Central Bank, European Court of Auditors, Philip Morris Agency, so on, to help organizations leverage the knowledge that is in people's heads. So the good news is, most of my slides are pictures, so you can sit back, relax. If you have a question, please interact. We all like to consume knowledge in different ways. Some of us like to sit back, let it flow over us. Some of us want to sit forward and ask a question. I'm very comfortable with being interrupted. Please drive on. Okay, about me and my style. So, as I said, I'm happy taking questions. Let's move on. I see myself and the way I work as a digital tailor, like a Savile Row tailor. I work with organizations to help them customize and build a digital strategy to fit their particular organization and their particular culture. Next slide. What we try to create in the end of it is what I call a knowledge garden. I use many analogies, take the ones that work for you, throw the ones out that don't. I like the analogy of a garden because there are people who have to design this, plan it, maintain it, but everybody can enjoy it. Next slide. Now this is very interesting because I haven't had a chance to meet many people today, but I think I only met 6 people, and probably that's indicative of everybody here. We're moving to an age now beyond the information age to the knowledge age, and we are no longer one person. Well, Muhammad may be one guy when he's here and another guy in his family life. That was the traditional dichotomy. Today we are multiple people, so the people I was sitting on the table with, they're on WhatsApp, they're on Facebook, they're on LinkedIn, they're on Twitter, and in each of those different incarnations they are different people. We are now like a Hindu god becoming a multi-headed creature, and I'm very fascinated between the intersection between our digital selves and our real selves. This is where we're going as a global society. Next slide, please. Okay, I don't do many tech slides, so I'm going to rattle through this. We've got 3 objectives from this presentation. 1, you're going to have a clear idea why social management is different from LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. 2, you're going to have an understanding of how you can deploy it in your organization. And tomorrow I'm doing a live demonstration of the whole thing in action. And finally, you will be able to know what should be your next step to advance, okay? So, I'd like you to think about the speed of change. Look at the table that you're sitting on right now. When I was a young boy, I was born in London, but I grew up in Zambia, in Lusaka, Zambia. When I was growing up, if I had someone had said to me, you know, Reuven, one day they will put that water that you're drinking from a glass, they'll put it in a bottle, and they'll sell it and make millions, we would have laughed at this person. It's absurd. Look at the tables today, everybody's got paid for bottled water on the table. Does anybody have any idea what this next picture is about? Somebody? Brilliant, spot on, air. This story broke a few months before Christmas. You can Google it right now. By the way, I'm happy people interacting on their devices as well. A guy put 4 cans of air on eBay as a joke, and it was bought immediately. Before Christmas and now, it's a multi-million-dollar business selling air in cans. That's Canadian air that you're looking at there. This sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But in China, they will pay $86 per can of air. Fresh air. This is the speed. That's why, exactly, you should laugh. We are working not only in the knowledge age, we are working in the disruptive age. Everything you see and assume is changing as you look and assume, make assumptions about it. The speed of change is very important, and that is why we have a knowledge imperative. Are you? So what is social knowledge management? Next slide. I want you to think now about the first time you did this. Don't worry about the date. It's not like where were you when JFK and all that stuff. Just think about the feeling that you had the first time you used this thing. All right? Now, when I first heard about this thing, I got a call from an old school friend. I was living in London. This guy was in Canada. He said, hey, I see you moving into mobile technology. And I thought, I haven't told anybody I'm thinking of leaving my job and going into mobile technology. How does this guy know? I said, how do you know this? He said, oh, I Googled you. And of course, I pretended I knew what it was. I said, oh yeah, that's right, that's right. As soon as I got off the phone, I tried it. And I looked at this thing and I thought, I don't know about how you felt, but the first time I saw this, which we're now talking 1998, I thought, what a load of rubbish. It's a blank screen with a single field. It's useless. Of course, I then put in something, as you do, a film or Abuja, and immediately it brought back results. You thought, okay, it's a search engine, it's a database, that's not a big deal. So the next thing you try to do is you put something more obscure. I put a small fishing village that my family used to take me to. Nobody cares about this village. It brought back results. I had my moment of epiphany. I left corporate world where I worked in corporate banking and I went into the internet space and I've never looked back. Something changed for me that, I call it the Google moment. I thought that Larry Page and Sergey Brin were the brilliant guys with this Google search engine. I missed something very profound. If every time you put something very personal to you in this thing and it brings back a result, there must be another human being on this planet who's interested in what you're interested in. And they're more interested than you because they put it in to share it with you. This is a profound shift in society. Next slide. We like to share information. For many of us of a certain age, when we went to school and then university and our first job, they said, hey, don't share what you know. Hang on to it. Then you have the quarterly appraisal. I was talking to my new friend Wumi from HR background. Hang on to what you know, you'll get the quarterly appraisal and then you'll get promotion. This is not true. We as humans, we like to share. This table I was sitting on here, through the lunch break, WhatsApp going, LinkedIn going, full on, we like to share information. Next slide. Actually, from the Google moment, there's no turning back. Next slide. We like to share, and we like to share big time. So look at these, how long it took in the UK to reach 50 million people. Television took 13 years. The internet took 3 years. Facebook took 1 year. Twitter 6 months. Instagram has done it in 3 months. We're going to move into society where you can reach 50 million people in a minute if you have the right thing that's of interest to them. We like to share. And there's a big difference between the first two and the second two. I don't know if anybody spotted it. With television and the internet, they are broadcast mediums, or they were in their first incarnation. A small group of people are creating content and sharing it with masses. With Facebook and Twitter, you don't create any content, there is no interaction. There is no broadcasting unit. Facebook is useless unless we interact. So we like to interact, we like to share. This is telling us something about our DNA that we, up until this point, had assumed the opposite. Next slide. In fact, now there's no way turning back, and many of you have got these applications already. Now you see where I'm getting at with the social knowledge management. You are already doing it in your private lives. Nobody offered you any training on Facebook. You didn't have to go on a 3-day corporate course, blah, blah, blah. Because you wanted to do it, because you like to do it, you do it. You're doing it right now. So why can't you do it inside the company? That's what social knowledge management is about. It's about bringing these tools to bear in the context of the company. We now have the means to share at low cost. Yeah? One of the gentlemen on my table said to me, oh, I'm not paying for the internet here. I said, oh, it's hotel Wi-Fi. And he said, no. He said, it's 3,000 of the local currency. He said, I can get a better deal with my Nigerian telephone. He's nodding, the telephone operator, and get more data for less. Low cost at speed. Next slide. So this is Metcalfe's law, which was designed a while ago about telephone networks or fax machines. You know, it's no good if I've got a fax machine and you don't have a fax machine, right? You have to, but as soon as we start to add the network of telephone, we see that the connections increases exponentially. Well, imagine now the connections that are taking place in terms of social knowledge management. I only met 6 people here today. And as I say, it's Bumi. Have I got that right? Bumi is interested in HR. We both have a shared interest in HR because it's a big changing field right now. But she's also got knowledge about the private sector where she worked. Look, I'm picking all this up for just a lunchtime conversation. She worked in the private sector for many years, and now she's coming to help Spark. The point is, I have not had a chance to go to all these tables out here. And these tables haven't had a chance to go to me. We don't know that out here, right in this very room right now, there is expertise on the HR challenge facing Spark at the moment. We can't even leverage it. That's what a social knowledge platform and social knowledge collaboration is all about. Next slide. Everybody, every single person has a piece of the puzzle. This is the exciting time that we live in now. And we now have the technology to allow you to drop your piece of the puzzle into the matrix. And the piece of the puzzle that you hold is not necessarily people inside the company. It's also partners. It's global, right? The guys who are making money out of that fresh air thing, it's because the internet told them it was happening, and then they all set up on their own businesses. The communication speed and scale is unstoppable. Next slide. So I have my wife, who is probably in my family the last person to adopt the internet. And in the days when it was a dial-up modem, she tried it. The shopping list crashed. She swore. Today, fast forward to today, she's the #1 user. I have 4 sons. She's the #1 user of the internet in our house. Banking, holidays, etc. So I said to her, I'm moving into social now. And she said, oh, not that Facebook rubbish. You know, I've got no time for that. I'm a busy person. So I said, well, what do you do when we go on holiday? I said, where do you go first? She said, oh, I go to TripAdvisor. She doesn't realize that she's already using social knowledge management. I said, so why do you go to TripAdvisor? Why don't you go to the Villa website or the Country Tourist Board? And so she said, because I want to meet people like me who have had the holiday that I want. I don't want to meet some advertisement about a young person and they went to the nightclub. I want a woman who's got children and what do they do when it was raining in the place and so on and so forth. We already interact, we use our collaborative knowledge, the piece of the puzzle that we have to solve decisions. We only need to make the leap now to bring that into the company context, and that's what I'm going to show tomorrow. So here's the scary thing, and that's why social is so big right now. In this conference will be a very good example. You're going to get presentations, you're going to get white papers, you're going to get some slide decks, and all of that codified knowledge is only 20% of what you know. 80% of what anybody knows about their job is in their heads, it's tacit knowledge. And every day after work, it walks out the door. This is the big challenge facing organizations. When you create a social knowledge management culture, a collaboration culture and platform, you start to create a corporate memory, right? We can't release those 6 years of HR knowledge if I just sat her down and said, right, tell me everything you know about HR. She just can't do it. Humans don't work that way. If we had forums and discussions where we raised questions, it would trigger in her mind the relevant information. She would drop it into context. That's the big prize on it. Okay, so very quickly, social software links content. Well, we've always had that with databases. It links people. Now, this is interesting. No document can exist without a person there, just as you do in your social spaces. Twitter, Facebook are all people-centric, not data-centric. Very important difference. And therefore, you get to know people in the context of their document and their knowledge and so on. So the gentleman who was just performing, who presented the dashboard, in a social platform you would see him and the dashboard, but the dashboard presentation that he could give, even if he was a fantastic presenter, will only be a fraction of what he knows about the dashboard. The troubles they had, the trials, other companies that have used similar things. Once you ask him a question in that space and he answers it in that space, he answers it for everybody. He doesn't have to be asked the same question again and again and again. And so the knowledge base grows, and so Metcalfe's connections grow. So this is a fascinating statistic. In the late 1970s, they found, before the internet, before email, these were the people that had the best networks in companies. Smokers. Anybody got any bright ideas why smokers had the best networks? Correct. They would come down from their different offices and silos and HR, finance, and meet in a place, a communal space, have a cigarette, and get things done. So if you wanted your car upgraded in a big company, you might go through all the bureaucracy of filling the forms. That'll take 3 months. But if you met Sally from transport who was having a cigarette, you'd get it done in a week. Right? That's the truth. That's how work gets done, right? You know people, things get done. Next slide. So what is social KM? Go ahead. Now, a lot of clients I talk to, well, it's changing now, it's moving much quicker, but say 6 to 18 months ago would say, oh, it's just Facebook in the organization. Wrong answer. No organization is going to give you company time to talk about who's going to win the European Cup or the Champions League match tonight, blah, blah, blah. More like LinkedIn in an organization, yes. Why LinkedIn? Because LinkedIn is you in your business incarnation, but it's not you in your company business incarnation. It's your entire career, before the organization you worked with, and possibly after the organization you worked in. Next. Go ahead. And this is the correct answer. Use the tools that we have in WhatsApp, Facebook, etc., but to solve Spark-related issues and challenges. That's the key differential. And again, I'll show that tomorrow. Go ahead. 70% of what we learn, 80% of what we know about our job is in our head. 70% of what we learn about our job is actually from other people. I think the gentleman who was awarding the prize for the help desk said that we learn from others. It's absolutely true. That's where we learn the most, from others. Go ahead. We haven't got time for this slide. I'll cover it because you got me on it. Am I okay? Oh, Mohammed is being generous now. Go back. Okay, so to prove that point, this isn't my slide, this belongs to another very clever lady called Jane Hart, who is leading a movement called social learning. She thinks that corporate company training is finished. You don't need to go, you want social learning. And she proves that these are all the different places. If you just forget trying to read all this because it's too busy, just read each colour as you go out. So the centre of the bullseye is learning from instruction, traditional training courses. The second one, learning from colleagues. The next one, learning from personal work experiences, on-the-job experience. You've tried it, it failed, you learned a lot more that way. How many people in this room, you don't have to put your hands up, just think about it. How many people in this room have solved personal problems, whether it's fixing something with your car or you're washing or something using YouTube? You did not pay any more for a guy to come out there and fix it. You could go to YouTube and you'd find another person like you who had figured out how to do it, and then you would get it done that way. Okay, next slide. So, everything is changing. Next slide. We are moving away, as you can see in your personal life, right? We're moving towards a people-centric organization, not a data-centric organization. People, then data, not the other way around. This is the scary one for some people and exciting for younger people, millennials and the like. The influence chart over the organizational chart. Now, people misunderstand me when I say this. They think I'm talking about the end of the org chart. The org chart will never go away, because the org chart is actually, in truth, it's a description of where capital lies in an organization. Who carries the buck for certain things. That will never go away. However, the influence chart is going to become far more important to organizations. And senior management and the young people joining organizations are excited about this, and the biggest resistance, no surprises, from middle management, who have something to lose here, or perceive that they have something to lose. To give you a quick example of how the influence chart works. You've got an engineering firm, let's say they're doing something very innovative around wind technology, or green technology of some sort. A young engineer joins the organization, he's a very bright guy, he puts on the social collaboration platform some of the papers he's written. Very quickly, after a week or two, he's the most downloaded guy at the organization. Everybody's talking about him. That's great news for the organization. They're great for HR, they hired the right person, right? Great for the organization, he or she is sharing knowledge. The resistance from the middle manager of the experienced engineer who's been there many years. Who is this guy that's just arrived and usurped my audience? So that is a culture shift that you have to deal with. Next. I'm not sure if I'll take too long about this because I don't know how you know London very well. But people try to say to me, can you explain to me the difference between these LinkedIn, Facebook places and what you're talking about in the company? And I say, well, in where I live in West London, there is these two different public spaces, or two different spaces. One is called Richmond Park, which is a massive park which is free to everyone. You can go when you like. You don't pay anything to go in. You can bring your dog, etc. There are very few rules. Obviously, you have to follow the laws of the land, but other than that, there are very few rules. The other one, which is only a mile away, is Kew Gardens, where it is very structured. You have to pay to go in or you have to be a member. You have the very best orchids, palm trees. Everything is organized and curated. And that is how social is going to play out in companies. There's a big role for the lady in the red, the community manager, who organizes things. Because we don't want to go to communities at work and find that nothing's happened, nothing's changed. We have a very different threshold than when we go to WhatsApp. Because WhatsApp, we go there kind of expecting nothing, and then whatever we get, we kind of take it or leave it. In a business context, it's very different. Next slide. Okay, so here's a really good way to understand the difference. And I'm sure 99% of the people in this room live in email hell, right? On the left, you can see what happens when somebody has an idea or a document and they start sharing it via email, right? And then other people join the party 3 months later and they weren't copied in on the first trail, and so knowledge is getting fragmented and lost in different places. Let alone the people who join the organization a year later and weren't even part of this email conversation. They'll never know about it unless somebody breaks ranks and forwards it to them. And when they forward it to them, it's going to look like that, a tangled mess. I don't know half the people who are mentioned on this email, so I'm in the dark. Converse that with them, and again, I'll show this tomorrow, a social platform where the documents sit in a community with a manager who explains to you, and you see the history of all those people that interacted with it, and with each person you can see their profile, just as you can in Facebook and LinkedIn. You must have those moments when you go into social spaces. You know some people in Facebook, but you don't know everybody there. And you think, oh, this guy's friend liked it, but I don't know his friend, but you can see who his friend is. So you start to connect different people together, okay? Let's go on. Okay, so very quickly, the history of companies. How did we get to where we were? We had a group of people like this. We decided we couldn't work like this, it wouldn't work, so we had to organize them into some kind of shape. Next slide. So we came up with the org chart. It was an easy way, military precision, command and control. Next. Email helped us to, we still kept the org chart, but flattened it, because if you knew somebody who wasn't in your department, you could at least contact them via email. Next. This is where we're heading. We're heading to actually where it doesn't matter what department you work in, and it doesn't matter what rank you've got. It matters what you know. What you know will be your currency of the future. It's a knowledge age we're moving into. Next. And so this is how companies like Google work. They form groups rapidly. I don't know if people know this, but in Google, you're allowed to have 1 day a week, 20% of your work time, to do whatever you like. The only caveat is that you have to share it with the organization. This is how Gmail came about. A group of people thinking about the inadequacies of the current tool set, free to think, the company paying for them, innovate. And then you can form in your group people from all different departments. You come together over subjects and things you're interested in. Next. All right, this is very interesting. Companies don't realize this. In all organizations, there is somebody more valuable, even right now, forget about social. In every organization, there are these people who are more valuable than the experts, more valuable than the boss. You know these people, you might be one of them. They're called connectors or linchpins. They don't know the answer, but they know where to find the person who can get the answer to your problem. They connect people and problems together. That's how companies work. Linchpins make companies work. They know how to get things done. They go, well, if you follow that process, it's going to take you 3 months, but if I put you in touch with, that's hence the smokers area again. Yeah? The power of linchpins. And here's the exciting bit. Consultants like me can do all the other bits. Show you how to create a community, show you how to source expertise from inside or outside. But you cannot create a linchpin. Linchpins are a factor of being inside. Only insiders can be linchpins. Only smart people can be smart linchpins. Outsiders can't fit because you have to know all the people. That's one of the key factors. Next. This is my last slide now. So, the future is now. We started with Google and the Google moment. We talked about air and water. Who knows what's going on here? Disruptive technology. Remember what we're talking about. Innovation. Knowledge sharing. Okay, so, yeah, there's a gentleman there.
That's the Google car, right?
Correct. It's the Google car, but that doesn't mean anything. But as he rightly said, it's the self-drive car. Now, I'm still that boy in Zambia growing up, and they told me they were going to put water in bottles and charge that. They were going to put air in cans and charge for that. And now, there's going to be cars that are going to drive themselves. And this is all in I'm still here, it's my lifetime, right? My working lifetime. I haven't even retired yet. All these things have happened. Look at the speed of shift. Now, you're going to think that Google self-drive car, your instinct is going to tell you it's Jaguar, it's BMW, it's Mercedes who are threatened. That's the low-level threat. Think about car insurance. You're not going to pay car insurance anymore because the car drives itself. The car company pays the insurance now. That's an entire industry, whoosh, gone. This is the speed of change of which we're working at, and that, I think, is my time. And as I say, tomorrow I get a whole hour. We'll actually show this working, so you can critique it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. My attention was actually called that you didn't have 10 minutes. You had 30 minutes, and that's why I allowed you to do so. So thank you very much. I believe that the ingenuity of Nigerians, perhaps by next month, our import bill will include some importation of air from, did you say Canada or something?